Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, born in Manila, has become one of the Catholic Church's most captivating figures. Born into a modest but deeply religious family, Tagle's early life was marked by simple joys, a strong sense of community, and a devotion to faith that would eventually lead him to the highest ranks of the Catholic Church. He excelled academically and was quick to help others, whether in his neighborhood or local parish. His strong sense of connection and care became the foundation of his calling to priesthood. After earning degrees in philosophy and theology at Ateneo de Manila University, Tagle traveled to Rome to deepen his studies and earned his doctorate in sacred theology. He focused on how church leaders could work more collaboratively and how the church could better serve its people. His priestly career officially began in 1902, but he prioritized being with the people, listening to their stories, and walking with them through life's ups and downs. His warmth and constant smile earned him the nickname, the Smiling Priest. Tagle's leadership skills were not unnoticed, and in 2011, he was appointed Archbishop of Manila, placing him at the helm of one of the most influential dioceses in Asia. He carried this responsibility with humility and grace, setting the tone for a leadership style rooted in service. As Archbishop, Tagle became known for his ability to connect deeply with people from all walks of life, championing for the poor, marginalized, and those often overlooked by society. His leadership during crises like Typhoon Haiyan in 2013 was particularly striking, as he rallied support, comforted survivors, and reminded the world of the resilience of his people. In 2125, Tagle's influence took a giant leap when he was named a cardinal by Pope Benedict. At just 55 years old, he was one of the youngest cardinals at the time, signaling his unique ability to bridge tradition with modernity. He participated in major Vatican synods, where his insights on family, evangelization, and social justice resonated with Catholics around the world. What makes Tagle stand out is not just his credentials or accomplishments, it's the way he leads. His approachable, empathetic, and deeply human style makes everyone feel like they matter. When he was appointed prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples in 2129, his role expanded even further, becoming the face of the Church's outreach to the world. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, a Filipino boy raised in a modest home, has become one of the most influential leaders in the Catholic Church. His leadership reflects the reality of a church that is no longer centered solely in Europe, but is increasingly global in its reach. Under Tagle's leadership, the Vatican launched targeted programs to address specific regional needs, such as funding local schools and vocational training programs in sub-Saharan Africa, and promoting reconciliation-focused missions in countries like Myanmar. Tagle's approach to these programs goes beyond cultural sensitivity. He recognizes the importance of addressing global challenges that affect everyone, regardless of faith. For example, he oversaw the Share the Journey campaign, a global initiative aimed at building understanding and support for migrants and refugees. He also worked tirelessly to foster relationships across religious lines in Southeast Asia, where Catholicism often coexists with Islam, Buddhism, and Hinduism. In Mindanao, a region in the Philippines with a history of Catholic-Muslim conflict, Tagle supported reconciliation programs that bring leaders from both sides together to address shared concerns like poverty and education. Additionally, Tagle connects with people on a personal level. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he became a reassuring voice for millions through online masses, virtual conferences, and heartfelt video messages. His duality, grand-scale vision combined with ground-level compassion, makes his leadership compelling. How does this all connect to the future of the Church? To understand that, we need to look at how Tagle embodies and extends Pope Francis's vision. Could he be the one to take that vision even further? In conclusion, Cardinal Tagle's leadership reflects the reality of a church that is increasingly global in its reach. His commitment to enculturation, interfaith dialogue, and comforting speeches have made him a powerful leader in the Catholic Church. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, a prominent figure in the Catholic Church, has been reshaping the institution with a global and youthful perspective. His leadership aligns with Pope Francis's emphasis on mercy, focus on the poor, and rejection of clericalism. Tagle has left a significant mark in the Synod of Bishops on the Family, which tackled controversial issues such as divorce, remarriage, and LGBTQ+ inclusion. He played a key role in ensuring the Synod documents reflected compassion and openness, particularly in shaping the language that emphasized accompaniment. Tagle's alignment with Pope Francis is evident in his environmental advocacy, pushing the Church to take tangible action. In the Philippines, he launched initiatives to address deforestation, overfishing, and climate-related disasters, including large-scale reforestation projects and community workshops on sustainable agriculture. He has represented the Vatican at climate summits, using his platform to challenge world leaders to take meaningful action. Tagle has also addressed the issue of clerical abuse, a crisis that has shaken the Church to its core. He delivered an emotional address calling for accountability and a pastoral response to survivors, introducing training programs to prevent abuse and creating spaces for survivors to share their experiences without fear of judgment or dismissal. This contrasts with the defensiveness that has often characterized the Church's response in the past. Tagle's connection to young people is not just refreshing, but also crucial. At World Youth Days, he speaks to them, acknowledging their doubts, fears, and aspirations, and challenging them to see themselves as active participants in the Church's mission. His approach is deeply rooted in Francis's vision of a Church that prioritizes mercy and humanity over rigid rules. However, Tagle has faced criticism for his perceived gentleness, which some argue makes him too idealistic to lead an institution often mired in power dynamics and political maneuvering. People who are familiar with Tagle, on the other hand, argue that his tenderness is not a weakness, but rather a virtue. Through his management of diocesan changes in Manila, for example, he has demonstrated on multiple occasions that his compassionate approach has the ability to pacify even the most ardent adversaries. In conclusion, the leadership of Cardinal Tagle is distinguished by humility, worldwide outreach, and charm. Yet, his ability to overcome both internal and external obstacles may be what defines his legacy. Despite the fact that Pope Francis is getting ready to take over as the next pope, his position within the Vatican is not without its difficulties. Over the course of several decades, the Curia, which serves as the administrative center of the Church, has been the subject of debate due to claims of inefficiency, secrecy, and corruption. Tagle, who has not been personally involved in the reform of the Curia, is tasked with striking a balance between preserving the traditions of the Church and addressing the pressing need for modernization and transparency. It is possible that his reputation as a bridge builder will allow him to be an effective mediator in this acrimonious atmosphere. It is important to note that the Catholic community is quite diverse, with factions ranging from ultra-conservative to progressive. A one-of-a-kind obstacle is presented by the proliferation of populist and traditionalist groups, notably in Western countries. Because of their emphasis on compassion and inclusivity, leaders such as Tagle may be perceived as being overly liberal or soft on topics like as the inclusion of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people, women's roles in the Church, and interfaith cooperation. As Pope, Tagle is confronted with the difficulty of bringing together a Church that is rapidly being pulled in different ways. It is necessary for him to confront the issue of diminishing membership in traditionally powerful regions such as Europe and North America, revitalize Christian groups in Asia and Africa, and re-establish trust and relevance in countries that have become increasingly secularized. The issue of sexual assault in the workplace is another one that calls far more than just words. There is a plea for preventative measures and a cultural reform within the Church, which is being made by survivors and advocates. If Tagle is able to successfully lead these initiatives, it will be a significant test of his leadership abilities. In addition to this, Tagle is required to deal with bigger socio-political concerns that overlap with faith, such as the issue of climate change, global inequality, and migration. His authority and accountability would increase as a result of his position as the leader of the worldwide Church. Despite the difficulties, Tagle's background implies that he has the resilience to overcome them. Yet, the Pope entails expectations and scrutiny that are unlike any other post. There is no question about whether he will be put through these tests. The question is how he will react to them. The path that Tagle has taken is motivational, yet it is unclear whether or not he will become the next pope.